talked about that. The fossa ovalis is the vestige of the foramen ovale, and the foramen ovale was the hole, thank you, between the two chambers. Thank you very much. Okay. So when the hole closes up and the baby's born, what's left is a little vestige. Now, was this the model I wanted to use? Okay. Nope, this wasn't it. This doesn't really show you it. Let me see if this part does. If you go in between, there's probably a clearer one, but these are the atria, all right? There's a little circle right in there as a little indentation. That's the vestige, what's left over from the foramen ovale. Was a hole, now it's just a fossa ovalis. It's like a fossil, if you will. One think about it that way. It's just a depression where the hole was, all right? Fossa ovalis. One of these may be a little bit better than the other. Okay, so let me backtrack and talk about, what did I want to talk about? The chordae tendineae, okay? So the papillary muscle is the bump that comes up, and these cords, all right, tendon cords, chordae tendineae. These are little tendons, if you will, that are attached to the bump, to the papillary muscle, so that when the heart contracts, the muscle pulls down on these cords, much in the same way that in a parachute, the cords that are coming down from the actual balloon itself keep the balloon inflated, okay? Keep the parachute rather inflated, all right? If you were to cut those cords, they would just evert, right? So your parachute would just go flopping into the air. So when muscle contraction occurs, these cords get pulled down and the valves actually will close. We'll talk more about that later on because that's more functional and that's lecture stuff. But chordae tendineae are attached to the bumps, the papillary muscle, and they're also attached to the valves. The pictures in your book are fabulous. Okay, I'm still going through it, but they're fabulous. Okay, then you have a series of valves. Notice tricuspid, bicuspid, aortic semilunar valve, and pulmonary semilunar valve. Okay? If this is the pulmonary artery or pulmonary trunk, I'm going to turn it sideways. That white thing is the pulmonary valve. You don't really need the semilunar word. Pulmonary valve, it's in the pulmonary trunk. Okay? Where's my aorta? All right. The aorta is this big red thing, that tube that comes up and behind the heart and goes all the way down towards the abdomen. And so if we look inside of it, right there is the aortic valve. Okay? So I've got my finger touching the aortic valve. You'd have to turn it to see it. All right? The aortic valve is in the aorta. So you'd have to come over here, look at this red tube, follow it down, all right, and turn it, and you can see that white aortic valve. Aortic valve is in the aorta, pulmonary valve is in the pulmonary trunk, okay? Now, tricuspid and bicuspid valves. This is the right side of the heart, so tricuspid is there between the right atrium and the right ventricle, okay? So think R, right side, T, R and T are close to each other in the alphabet. Right is tricuspid, all right? Left, all right, is bicuspid or mitral valve, all right? Two names for the same thing. Since mitral valve shows up on your test. You can put one or the other, okay? Mitral valve. All right, then you have, let's see, we talked about those other valves. All right, left coronary artery, right coronary artery, all right, and the veins, okay? So your left coronary artery, let me put this back on. So again, left side of the heart, all right, you've got left coronary artery over here, okay, that comes down. It's actually attached to the aorta, but you can't see it because it's like underneath this. But the coronary artery comes here, and as it goes around the heart, they refer to that as the circumflex artery, and this red one is the anterior and interventricular artery. Okay, so the coronary artery comes down from the aorta and then it splits and it starts to go around the heart, circumflex, and anterior interventricular and ventricular arteries. Arteries here are red. Okay, then you have the right coronary artery, so the right hand side. All right, you have your marginal branch, which is anterior. Here's the right coronary artery. All right, and then it's the marginal branch, and then if we go to the back, it's the posterior interventricular artery. All right, in back. So the right coronary artery branches from the aorta. We'll talk about this later on, but ultimately The heart is an organ itself, and it needs to be fed with blood. So the fresh blood that's coming out of this big red tube, the aorta, actually has some tributaries, some branches that will take that fresh blood and feed the outside of the heart. These are the vessels that become occluded or blocked in a heart attack. Okay, so when the heart isn't getting oxygen itself, those are the vessels that are becoming occluded, the ones that branch off of this fresh blood and feed the outside of the heart itself. Okay, so from here, from the aorta, we've got branches. You can see this better in your book, going to the left and going to the right side, and then of course those coronary branches branch into other ones, the interventriculars, the circumflex, the marginal. Veins are blue. So after the heart cells take the fresh blood with oxygen, they say thank you very much. They make ATP, they make CO2, the CO2 gets put back into the blood, and then the deoxygenated blood, pictured red here, has to go back to the heart itself. So coronary circulation is from the aorta to the heart, from the heart back again. Okay, it's just right here. All right, so you've got up front the great cardiac vein, which is right in the center there, it's blue, and the back, the blue one in the center in the back is the middle cardiac vein. There are others, but they're not listed here, okay? So that blue in the back of the heart there is the middle cardiac vein. That's the back of the heart. So middle is posterior. Might be a good thing to write that directly on your lab sheet. All right, the middle is the posterior. All right, great cardiac is anterior. All right, so if I hold up the front, that blue vein right there, that's the front of the heart. That's the great cardiac vein. Okay, so we won't do circulation. We won't look at the sheep's heart today. You'll have another day to do